Hey, what's up guys? My name is Rafael. I am a lead editor and VFX artist for a production company here in Atlanta called Drescher Visuals. I'll put our website in the description if you're interested in seeing what kind of work we do. I also co-direct some of the projects we do, and I tend to use those skills in personal passion projects, and that's the main thing I want to talk about today is a horror short film that I just did recently for Halloween that I think a lot of people really liked, and I thought it would be really cool to do a breakdown of the short. It's because I personally find it very interesting to look behind the curtain of short films I've seen on YouTube, full movies I've seen in movie theaters. I think it's really interesting. I know there's other people out there that also find that kind of thing interesting. This might not be, like a big budget short film or movie, but I think that there's a lot of fun, quirky workarounds that I had to do in camera and in post to make it all come together, especially since I wanted to shoot it by myself because I wanted to like that challenge and see if I could do it. I definitely didn't technically do it all by myself. I did have help. My good friend Erin, she did the makeup for the last shot, which is I think the main shot that I get the most compliments on. I also have my own camera and a couple lights, but I didn't think I have enough equipment to pull it off by myself. So I asked the company I work for if I could borrow some gear, and my boss then had no issues with letting me borrow some gear. And a big help was my awesome wife Emily. She was the reference for the demon that appears in the short. She was the body double basically, because I used her as like reference for like posing the CGI model and making sure that like it looks like realistic in the environment. I think having like an actual like real person for reference in there, if you can, it helps a lot at the end result. So let's get into it. So the premise of the short was, what if a kid gets so mad because you didn't give out candy to them when they clearly know that you had candy to give out, that they like get so mad that they get possessed by a demon that sucks out the candy out of your body and kills you. So it's kind of like a horror short, but it's like a bit campy because it's like ridiculous because you see the demon like still with the pizza costume flying around, and so that's kind of the premise of this short film. I wanted to go a little bit for that Joker green and orange lighting and color. I think in some shots it turned out pretty good, but in other shots I can definitely see that I need to improve a little bit. But that's also another reason of doing this. I think doing this also helps me like put my thoughts out there and like for myself to see like what else I can improve on for the next one. So for this little rascal, he kept jumping on the shot, but I got a few shots without him, but I had to end up using this shot of him coming in for continuity purposes. So it was for this shot right here, because I was shooting by myself. So I literally go outside of my house, prop the camera, make sure the shot looks good, and then I just went inside and just did a few takes and then hope I got one of them. And for some reason my brain completely forgot that my cat was still there. But in the end, to keep the continuity, because all the shots had, or at least all the shots that I like had my cat there, so I just had to like use this shot so it works in this shot, like he's still like hanging out with me and all that. It wasn't part of the plan, but I think that's the editor in me. The editor in me takes over the director in me sometimes, or most of the time. I need to have the continuity before the performance, as long as the performance is good enough. I really like this shot with the green yellow light. It's kind of what I was going for most of it. I think this was more color matched. Originally it was not this yellow, which I think it looked great. Oh, and it's the first when we see the demon child. Okay, so this is the main shot I wanted to talk about. Oh, did you see it? I'm sure you did. Okay, so obviously you can see the demon child goes through, close the door, and then my hair is normal, and it starts clipping. You can see it right there. I'm sure maybe some of you didn't notice. I'm sure a lot of you did. I got a few comments about this from friends and all that, and then when I explain why, they're like, oh, okay, I see. So that there's limitations for you shooting by yourself. Originally my wife was gonna help me with this shot, in that I was gonna do this whole movement, move to the side so you can see the door, and then we would time it to where she would, in the same shot, she would close it. And the real is just a practical effect in camera. Well, that day she came back from like a long day at work and she was understandably tired. I still asked her and pushed her to do the demon parts, which I appreciate very much. But basically, as soon as we were done with those shots and I told her, "You wrap," she went to sleep. And I just couldn't bring myself to like, "Hey, I need you to help me with this shot." I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out in post. And this is what happened. So basically what I did was I do the whole performance, I do the reaction of the door, kind of timing it in my head, and then I walk all the way to the door, get the whole shot, and then without cutting, I go behind the door and do a couple takes of me opening and closing the door, and then kind of just pick one, then cut that long shot in half, and then just put them together. Obviously, as you can see, it's not a green screen. There's no like solid background, so I just had to rotoscope it, and it did a pretty okay job. But you know, you can still tell. I don't hate it. I would have loved to do it on camera, but you gotta wear what you got. You gotta have you gotta always be ready to change something while you're shooting. Just have a backup for everything. That's kind of how it is. Trying to make films, commercials, short films. It always happens. There's always one or a couple things that just don't go as planned, and you gotta just figure it on the fly. This was before she got the chance to go to sleep. This was my wife that helped me with the flickering lights. I think she did a pretty good job. And building up the tension. What are we gonna see? And I like to incorporate a little bit of comedy in my projects. It connects all because he was there in the beginning, and that was another reason why I guess I decided to use that shot, was because I already introduced him in the beginning. Originally, I wanted my dogs to be play fighting in that shot, but I realized quickly that was gonna be a lot harder. I haven't introduced them, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So for time's sake, I just placed my cat there and play with him for a few seconds, and then by himself he just plopped down, and then I just kept recording until he did something funny, and then he did that roll, and I was just perfect, moving on. So for this shot, I would have liked to have the door open as I'm walking past it so it connects with here, but by that point my wife was fast asleep, and I just I had to figure out my own, so I left it as is. And then but this shot here was shot earlier, so she was the one that opened the door while they're reacting to the door opening. And then there's the first time we fully see the demon. As I imagine some of you must notice already, this was made in Unreal Engine. I used the MetaHuman website to kind of create this kid and download it to Unreal Engine, and then I tweaked the skin and the eyes and changed the color. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. It's, it's giving a little The Ring. And then you can see, for example, this shot right here is all CGI. It's just, I know we did some takes where Emily, my wife, would push me against the wall, and it looked fine, but it didn't look as aggressive as I wanted to do it. So later on I just kind of did the movement myself, and basically added the demon right there, and then kind of tracked their hand. And then we cut here to where the sleeve is actually Emily's arm. I put her in a blue suit, and then I keyed that out to try and hide it as best I can, and then I put the hand over it and tracked it on the sleeve, and I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, I think what sells it is that it was done and she was actually grabbing me by the neck, so you can see my skin ripples and get squished by her hand. So I think that really sells it when adding the hand above her hand. I think this is my favorite shot with the demon. It's just the tracking was pretty good. The rotation of the head, I thought it looked really good. I think one thing that I would do differently next time for if I use one of these models again, do shorter hair, do more tapered hair, because it tends to glitch sometimes, because some of the longer hairs apparently are experimental or more in beta. So in this shot, I wanted the mouth to just extend an aggressive, scary, creepy amount. And then this shot was done in Blender. Really happy with how it came out. I just used geometry nodes to multiply all the different candies and have them go in this kind of circle motion. And then I added a wire simulation that I made dark red to look kind of blood is being sucked out of my body as the candy is, to make it look more aggressive, so it sells when I die in the next shot. Spoiler alert. And it sells it why blood is coming out of my nose, my mouth. It's the pressure of having the candy being sucked out of my body that it's killing me. And then there it is. That's that shot. That's the final shot. This is the shot that I've gotten the most comments on, that people really like. And I think it's a perfect example of mixing practical and visual effects, because the blood, the pale skin was all in makeup, and then I just used VFX to boost it. I made myself even more pale. I added the eyes, and I think it really sold it for the final, like that shot, which is well-known way of like selling a visual effect, is by having something practical in there as well to really ground the visual effects in reality. You got to have some practical stuff either in the foreground, either something for the actors to react to, and then you finish it off in post, and that usually really sells it. Very happy with how it turned out. I hope I can do another one soon. I also wanted to show that you can shoot cool shorts by yourself, and it just got to keep doing it. It'll get better every time. It's a great way to practice what you learn and like learn new things and apply to other clients. And because I did learn a lot, and it's fun to just see it and like talk about it and talk about how it like all came together. So, well, hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you have any other questions about the short or any of the effects or shots in it, leave a comment down below and I'll respond to it. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.